Heavy fighting was raging in central Bakhmut as Russian mercenaries Wagner tried to break through the Ukrainian defenses of the devastated city, Colonel General Alexander Syrsky said on March 13. Wagner's troops overran central Bakhmut from multiple fronts, but the Ukrainians still held the fortresses, while inflicting significant losses on the attacking forces. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry claims in its latest update that in the last 24 hours its forces have killed more than 700 Russian soldiers. It also said it had destroyed 10 tanks, 15 armored fighting vehicles, 16 artillery pieces, and 11 drones. Mortar artillery of the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine, firing with its aerial reconnaissance, destroyed 4 groups of Wagner mercenaries in the Bakhmut area. It was indicated that enemy attacks in and near the city continued, and mortar fire did not always help to avoid close combat. Meanwhile, on the northern outskirts of the town of Bakhmut in the Donbass, Wagner Group troops had moved 2 to 3 km further west, holding the countryside near the main M03 route to the town. To the south, Russian units have advanced around the western edge of the town of vuledar, where they will relaunch offensive operations in late January 2023. Russian forces may have suffered heavy casualties near vuledar, where inexperienced units were involved. A few days ago, a video circulating about Russian occupiers fleeing, realizing that artillery would now work on them, appeared on the internet. The 2 raid trucks were traveling so fast that soldiers fell from them. No one stopped and took it. It cannot be ruled out that the losers went unnoticed. The invaders also dropped the cannons that were being towed. Subsequently, the artillery of the 113th Ground Defense Brigade and units of the Armed Forces of Ukraine worked against the enemy. The General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces reported on March 15 that Russia had lost 161,520 soldiers in Ukraine since the start of its full-scale invasion on February 24 last year. This number includes the 980 casualties suffered by Russian forces over the past few days. Fighters of the Airborne Assault Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine repelled an attempted enemy attack in the direction of Donetsk, destroying tanks used by the Russian occupiers, as reported by Ukrinform on his Telegram channel. The Ukrainian infantryman described the battle for Bakhmut as a desperate survival challenge against the limitless supplies of Russian ammunition and artillery. Armed with only machine guns and rifles, they said they held off relentless Russian mortar and artillery fire until their hideout was finally destroyed. While Russian casualties on the Bakhmut front are assumed to be very high, the Ukrainians also suffered heavy losses defending the city, Army testimony said. NATO intelligence estimates that at least 5 Russian soldiers die for every Ukrainian loss, CNN reported on March 6, citing an unnamed official with the alliance. Russia has launched a total of 95 missiles of various types over the past few days, the Ukrainian military said. While Ukraine's defense knocked out 34 attacks, dozens of missiles hit infrastructure targets, further destroying the country's fragile energy system. At least half a dozen people were injured specifically in the Donetsk region in eastern Ukraine. Ukraine's military leadership has said that a complete withdrawal from Bakhmut is being planned, but that such a decision would only be made if necessary, as the Russians deploy more Wagner Group mercenaries to fight in Bakhmut. Tensions around the city are at an all-time high. Meanwhile, the armed forces of Ukraine hit 2 of the 3 Russian military tanks that attacked their positions in the Donetsk region with 2 successive hits from the Stugna-P domestic anti-tank missile system. This was reported by the ZSU operational Telegram channel. Russian troops, including mercenaries from the private military company Wagner, had advanced towards the city center from the east, south, and north. Ukrainian units launched frequent counterattacks to try to retake some territory and defend their precarious access to Bakhmut from the west. Access gradually became more complicated as the route to the city was controlled by Russian troops. Ukrainian soldiers on unofficial social media accounts said they were increasingly relying on dirt roads to reach and leave Bakhmut, roads that may be impassable in the freezing weather turning to mud. Soldiers stationed in Bakhmut said the Russians split into small strike groups of about 10 men and launched a wave of near-suicidal attacks. They said that Wagner's mercenaries might be among them, but it was hard to judge because they all wore similar uniforms. By relying on drones, Russia will find Ukraine's position in the area. They would then fire several mortar and artillery rounds, which would then be followed by an infantry attack in an attempt to encircle the Ukrainian army, according to Maxim. If the drones cannot detect the Ukrainian position, Russia will send several soldiers to open fire until they hear return fire, according to Maxim. As brutal as it was, the Russian tactics slowly worked and pushed Maxim's unit back a total of 1.5 kilometers throughout February. He said that his unit occasionally had to move to another position 100 to 300 meters away, especially if nearby units started to retreat and the defensive line started to crumble. As Russia attempted to completely encircle Bakhmut by capturing settlements such as Ivanivsk, Ukrainian troops came under increasing pressure. Meanwhile, Russian troops attacked Kurakov, Donetsk Oblast, in the evening of March 14, cutting off power in several parts of the city. Governor of Donetsk Oblast, Pavlo Kyrylenko, reported. The Russians shelled Kurakov with artillery late at night. According to preliminary information, there were no casualties. He said, although Russia has deployed several missiles that are currently unstoppable by Ukraine, it is unlikely that such attacks will become a regular or defining feature of the conflict. After all, according to most Bakhmut fighters, it is still the hottest point on the front, with 20 of its 188 strikes. From all directions, Bakhmut today came directly to the town of Bakhmut, said Serhiy Chervety, spokesman for the Eastern Group of the Armed Forces of Ukraine.